Hello, everybody. How is everybody doing? Welcome to another episode of Quincy Carrier Live. We got a lot to talk about when it comes to the quarterback position because right now the Browns don't really have much of a quarterback room developed right now. And there's a lot of questions about what the Browns quarterback room will look like at the end of this month, at the end of the draft. Hell, maybe you might have to wait to know who your starter is until June, right? There's a lot of questions about the current Browns quarterback situation. So let's jump into that as the first subject of today, the Browns quarterback situation. Uh, Now, again, we knew going into this offseason that anything the Browns would have to do this offseason that pertains to that quarterback question would be somewhat of an imperfect solution. There was no great solution for a football team coming off a 3-win season with the second pick in the draft, with Deshaun Watson still on the roster in a offseason where no major quarterbacks like usual are available, and a draft that is not highly regarded in terms of the talent at the quarterback position. If you draft the quarterback, it's not going to be a perfect solution this year, no matter what pick you use for that quarterback. If you sign a quarterback, it's not going to be a perfect solution. And quite frankly, there was not going to be any options this offseason that was going to make everybody happy, right? The closest thing we came to that was when Matt Stafford became available and maybe using a third on Geno Smith. Outside of that, all of these other decisions remain immensely risky. Long shots to solve the position long term, or maybe they could be expensive short-term options or non-expensive short-term options, right? But the long-term part of this was always going to be difficult to do. Think about this. The market is so wild right now at quarterback. The New England Patriots really think they're going to get a third-round pick for Joe Milton. Now, I know people think highly of Joe on the internet, but I need you to understand that Geno Smith, a 2-time Pro Bowler, went for a third-round pick. Joe Milton ain't even a 2-time starter. Like, he didn't even start 2 games in his career. People talking about a third-round pick for Joe Milton, right? Teams with quarterbacks have understood that the market sucks for any team looking for a quarterback. So if you pay for a quarterback, you're going to have to overpay. Hell, we had to overpay for Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett. Yes, Kenny Pickett. Say it like Cartman from South Park. But Kenny Pickett cost us a 5th-round pick and a player. That's how crazy the market is right now, which is to tell you that this is just not going to be a great time to find a long-term quarterback solution. Whether it's Kirk Cousins, whether it's Aaron Rodgers, whether it's Russell Wilson, the decision you're going to have to make at quarterback is always going to be one that's going to leave some people feeling a little bit uncomfortable. That's the reality of it, right? We could talk about the individual ones. Let's go pros and cons through all these individuals, right? So that's what we'll do first. Here's what we'll do first. There are pros and cons to all of the quarterback options available. We'll keep this to the veteran quarterback options that will be available. But let's work on a list. You know, if you're in chat or if you're watching this live, let's work on a list of pros and cons for everybody that we talk about. We're going to talk about the old guys. We'll start with Russell Wilson. If we could get an image of Russ on screen, that would be amazing. But Russell Wilson, we'll start with the pros of bringing in Russell Wilson. Veteran quarterback. He's played in a system similar to what Kevin Stefanski likes to run, albeit running it with a bit of different philosophy, right? Russ likes to attack the sidelines and downfield. I think it would be interesting to pair Russ up with a number of younger quarterbacks and a number of quarterbacks who and wide receivers who make sense. I do think it's interesting that the Browns are talking to Russ. They're not in serious talks with Russell Wilson. But one of the things we know about Kenny Pickett, he struggles to find the middle of the field. Russell Wilson, another quarterback who struggles to find the middle of the field. Maybe you could look at this and say, hey, maybe this means they're looking at Cam Ward, right? Maybe you want to pair Russ with Cam Ward. Both quarterbacks can't really find the middle of the field well, but both attack the numbers. You're going to have an offense built around attacking those numbers. And if you do build an offense around attacking those numbers, we have seen that Russ can be relatively successful. He's going to take care of the football for a little bit, not as much as you would like, but he's going to take care of the football more than most quarterbacks would. Like Jameis Winston, he's going to be more protective with the football than a Jameis Winston. Somebody in chat just said we missed out on Cooper Rush. Come on, dog. Come on. I'm not endorsing Cooper Rush, love. I'm sorry. We missed out on Cooper Rush, was the guy I was interested in. Yeah. If we didn't get Kirk Cousins. Okay, if we don't get Kirk Cousins or Russell Wilson, I thought Cooper Rush was your number one option. I'm going to keep it real with you guys. If we can't get Kirk Cousins or Russell Wilson, it don't matter who's starting. We losing games. It just is what it's gonna be. We just gonna lose some games. It could be Cooper Rush. It could be Brandon Allen. It could be whoever. Jameis Winston. Jacoby Brissett, Joe Flacco, whatever low tier option you want to throw at it. Understand, we are going into games trying to play the three of hearts and win a hand of spades. It's just not going to be a winning strategy, right? Like if you cannot get Russ, who won games with Pittsburgh last year, Kirk Cousins, who won games with Atlanta last year, Aaron Rodgers, you can't get your hand on one of those three and you don't want to take a quarterback in the first round, it's going to be one of them years where you just ain't got a quarterback. And it don't really matter who you start, right? You're just trying to make some stuff happen. I don't see Cooper Rush as any different than Kenny Pickett, to be honest with you. Like, both of the good things you could say about Cooper Rush and Kenny Pickett end up being the same exact thing, which is Cooper Rush, he won games. And with Kenny Pickett, you could say the same exact thing with him, which is, hey, at the end of the day, he did win games, technically. I think they won those games in a very similar way. I know people are bringing up Joe Flacco. Not really thinking that's going to work, right? I think if you throw Joe Flacco in, be prepared. You're probably winning 6 games. And that doesn't have to be an awful thing, right? If you're winning 6 games and you're willing to be patient about the position and you're hoping that maybe this year is a stepping stone for a quarterback next year, now that you got the Miles situation handled, maybe that's what you do. Maybe you got to suffer now to thrive later. Maybe that's what they do. But I'd rather have this team be put in that situation and tie themselves up long-term to a situation that doesn't feel like it's going to be fruitful. So it's an imperfect situation. The Browns find themselves at quarterback. But let's get back to talking about Russell Wilson, right? What we know about Russ, he can operate the offense. He could throw deep balls. The connection with Jerry Jeudy is going to be interesting because Jerry Jeudy really didn't thrive with the way that Russell Wilson throws the football. But I do not believe that there is any interpersonal beef between Jerry Jeudy and Russell Wilson. I also don't think the Browns have good personnel for Russell Wilson specifically because Russ likes to throw deep 50-50 balls. And the Browns don't really have a ton of deep 50-50 ball type wide receivers. So Russ here, I think, would be a curious fit. I've always, like, when Russ was in Seattle, Russ was one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch. But that would just be fun for me to see Russ in Cleveland, but like this version of Russ in this Browns offense with these wide receivers around him, I can't find too many positives other than Russ is a professional. Russ is not going to turn the ball over a ton. Russ is going to be able to get in the right protections and check in and out of runs properly. So he's going to help your run game. Russ is going to be able to hit the layups if the layups are there. You're not going to have an explosive offense. You're not going to score over 30 a ton, but you can play a choke them out style of football that heavily relies on the defensive side of the ball. That's what I can say about Russ, good and bad, right? With Kirk, I think Kirk is a little bit more capable of executing the Browns offense at a higher level than Russell Wilson is, given that he's a better fit for the type of quarterback play that it is that the Cleveland Browns seem to need to function the offense, right? You know Kirk Cousins can be on time. You know Kirk Cousins is going to throw in the middle of the field. You know Kirk Cousins is going to do well on play action. He still did fine on play action in Atlanta, just didn't run it as much. You know Kirk will throw the check down. He will get the ball out. He will run the offense, right? With Russ, there's a little bit more room for improvisation. Now, if you're going to draft Cam Ward, it might make sense to have Russ be the backup because Russ makes sense for a team that might start Cam because play style wise, there are some similarities. Cam Ward loves to take the candy on the sideline. Cam Ward gets a little bit happy, leaves the pocket even when it's clean. Cam Ward loves to throw the ball downfield. Russ does those same things. So if you build an offense for Cam Ward, you're building an offense for Russell Wilson. I can see that making sense. So if you're going to pair quarterbacks together, maybe Russ and Cam Ward make a ton of sense. To me, Kirk Cousins and Shedeur Sanders or Kirk Cousins and Will Howard make a lot of sense as a pairing. If you want to pair a veteran with a rookie quarterback, right? And you want to see what kind of quarterback room gives a guy a chance to be successful. I think those two pairs work really well together, right? Maybe even like Jackson Dart you can throw in there. Even though I think Jackson would probably be a better fit to be behind Aaron Rodgers, right? So somebody said in chat, we could just go with the young quarterback we draft and roll with it. I don't think that's a smart situation to do in the AFC North. Maybe in other divisions where you're not playing the amount of experience that you're going to be playing in the AFC North, it can work. But here's the problem with playing a rookie quarterback right away in the AFC North is you're going to expose them to being overwhelmed super early in their career before they have any tools to be able to handle it. And that's the kind of stuff that can ruin a quarterback, right? When you overwhelm them early, and look, if you bring out a rookie first game of their career and they're playing Mike Tomlin and Mike Tomlin overwhelms them, they might never recover from that. You know, you're not just going up against teams that are good. You're going up against the most tenured head coaches in football in Pittsburgh and Baltimore, some of the best defensive minds in football. You know, we can write it off, be like, oh, it's just this guy. But literally every freaking quarterback that we just thrown into the water in Cleveland has had the same result. Whether you draft them number 1 overall, whether you draft them in the 6th round, whether you draft them in the 3rd round, you know, that's a bad strategy in this division. You know, I don't love the idea of just throwing a quarterback in there. Even with Baker Mayfield, who was more pro-ready than a lot of guys in that class, it still took a couple of weeks for him to get out there. And even when he got out there, after he played Pittsburgh that first time in his career, it was obvious that he was out there a little early. You need to slowly work in a quarterback. And if you only got Kenny Pickett standing in between your guy that you drafted in the 1st round and starting, you're going to have a very bad time trying to avoid starting that quarterback. So you need to have somebody substantial there. So if you do draft Cam Ward, number 2 overall, you definitely need to sign somebody like Russ. I think that's why Russ is going to New York. I think New York, the Giants, are the team that ultimately goes after Cam Ward because they seem like the team that really likes him. And they're going to be willing to commit to him in that way. So I would put Russ in there so Russ can eat the bullets, and then Cam Ward can see it from the sideline and be like, oh, this is what happens in the NFL, right? Because you don't want Cam Ward to get in there, do his Cam Ward thing where he stays still, get smacked, and then break his shoulder blade or something like that. Now he can't play for the rest of the year. He can't learn. You want him to look on the sideline, realize how fast this game is, realize how complex it is by proxy of watching a dude like Russ or Kirk, who's a trusted professional in there. And then that will hopefully give like a player the understanding of what the NFL is at a bit of a higher level to allow them to understand, okay, this is what I need to do before I even touch the field. You know, you don't want another DTR situation where DTR just thinks stuff sweet. He plays. He ain't never been the same after that game. And DTR was a 5th-round pick. You don't want to do that with your 2nd pick overall, right? You got to ease that dude in, especially in this division. You know, you got to let him see some NFL football up close and personal. You got to let him prepare for NFL football up close and personal. You got to let him react to NFL football up close and personal before you let him play it. You know, eventually he will get out there, right? I think it's 6 weeks. You should wait before you play somebody in the first round. But right away, I don't love doing that to somebody. So, yeah, I do think pairing Russ with Cam Ward would make a ton of sense, even though it would be inevitable that Cam Ward would probably start week 10, week 11 if you had Russ. It's better than just throwing him out there because if you're going to draft a quarterback, you better do everything in your power to make sure that can work. Like, that's really it. You got to do everything in your power to make sure that works, even if that means overspending for a backup, just so that dude don't got to see the field immediately. You got to do it. Because if you go out there, you ruin your quarterback on the first week of the season, and you spent the 2nd overall pick on that, what you going to spend the next year doing? Collecting your things from the office. That's what you're going to spend the rest of the year doing. So, yeah, I don't think you should just throw them out there. That's how are we in Cleveland, and we've watched what we've watched in Cleveland and think that's a great strategy. It's like sometimes I feel like we get collective amnesia in this city, and we forget that we used to do this stuff all the time, and it did not work. You know, like, how do we get collective amnesia here? And just be like, yeah, this thing that's never worked in this city before, let's do that again. You know, let's reach, let's just draft the quarterback and try to make it work. And this shit ain't never worked in Cleveland ever. And we just like, yeah, but maybe this year. It's like that meme from Arrested Development. No, it doesn't work, but maybe it'll work for us. That's what we sound like sometimes, talking about all of these things we have literally went through as Browns fans, not work for these specific reasons, and being like, well, you know, maybe Cam Ward's just the guy that does it right. It's like, I don't know, man. I feel like that is a bad strategy. That is a bad way to do it. But anyways, you can see how these two could pair up with the quarterback that you might want to take. You could also see how you could just live with these guys for a season. I think you can live with Kirk Cousins. Aaron Rodgers, I think you can live with him for, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers like 41. Like, I don't know if you can live with Aaron Rodgers for a season because he's so old at this point. But Kirk, you know, he's at that age where maybe one season's plausible. Russ, you could definitely get out of a season with Russ. It'd be weird. It's not going to be your favorite Brown season of all time, but you could definitely get through it. But that's just the weird bind we're in with the quarterback position. There's no perfect answers this year. There's answers that some people think are good answers, but other people think are the worst answers possible, but there's no consensus this year on what the Browns should do at quarterback. And that's not an unfamiliar feeling for Browns, but it is a feeling that we really haven't felt since like 2017, right? Since 2018, the Browns quarterback decisions have been fairly understandable what they were going to do by most people. But this is the first year since drafting Baker Mayfield where, we're sitting in March and we don't know who the quarterback's going to be come September. Seriously. The first time since 2017, we've been here at March where we don't know who the quarterback's going to be come September, other than the year that we took a quarterback number 1 overall. That's interesting. And it's going to create a lot of different reactions, but, I see a lot of people pretty much locking into one quarterback or another, and we're all have to understand whether you like the option or not, these just aren't going to be perfect solutions. You're hopeful that you get a good answer out of an imperfect solution. But inherently, these are all imperfect solutions. And it is what it is. You just got to deal with it, right? This is just one of them years. And look, sometimes something beautiful comes out of imperfect solutions. Sometimes it doesn't. Just got to work with it. Play the best you can, right? It's like playing cards. You got to play the best hand you could possibly play with the cards that you are currently dealt with right now. And that's the situation the Browns are in. We ain't getting a pretty hand, but we got to play our hand, and we got to see what we could do with the hand that we have. All right, let's get into some mock draft. We're going to bring a mock draft up. It's been an interesting week. We don't know exactly what's going to go down at the quarterback position for the Browns. All we know is that Kenny Pickett is on the roster. We don't know exactly what's going down with the Browns around different position groups. There's a lot in limbo with the Cleveland Browns right now. But I think that's when it's the most fun to do a mock draft. Now, last time I did a mock draft, you guys saw me trade up for Shedeur Sanders. Here's how I think about the draft right now. The Browns' number one option at quarterback is to watch and see if one of these guys falls past 21. If a quarterback that you like falls past 21, I think it's more than worth it to trade the 4th and get back into it. History tells you past about pick 25, you can trade a 4th and get back into the first round if you have an early second. But let's see what the board gives us today, right? So let's jump into it. We're going to pick the Cleveland Browns and get this thing started. All right, so let's see what happens at 1. I think 1 is a bit of a question, but it feels like it's circling in at Cam Ward. So Cam Ward goes number 1 overall. Now, in this mock draft, people are offering trades. I'm going to go and assume that nobody wants to trade for this number 2 overall pick, because I think that's what we have to really cushion ourselves for, is that nobody wants to do a trade back, at least at the price that the Cleveland Browns are going to do a trade back. So this front office has proved that they're not going to just do a trade just to do a trade, right? They're going to want to get something back of value. Abdul Carter is usually the pick here for me, but I want to evaluate something differently, right? I usually pick Abdul Carter number 2, but how would this draft change if I made a different decision here too? How would this draft change if I drafted the unicorn of the 2025 draft? How would this draft change, and how would the draft philosophy change if I dared to take Travis Hunter, number 2 overall? The most polarizing player in this draft class, you could argue. There's arguments about what position this dude plays, let alone if he's good at those positions. I tend to think he's really strong at both positions. I think the Browns see it like this. Travis Hunter is an excellent zone corner. We know Andrew Berry loves corners, right? He took a corner with his first pick in 2021. He took a corner with his first pick in 2022. Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson. He's taking a corner in every draft, whether we needed one or not. We haven't needed a corner for a while, but he's taking a corner. He played corner back in the day. Him and Kevin Stefanski, both defensive backs in college, I believe. So we know that they have a love affair with the corner position. Travis Hunter might be the most exciting corner prospect in his draft class. You flip it on the other side, and with Travis Hunter as a wide receiver, I see something that the Browns don't really have. Is Travis Hunter an explosive yak threat? Yes, he is, right? He's similar to Jerry Jeudy like that, where he could take something underneath, explode, and get a bunch of yards at the catch. But where Travis Hunter is unique is his 50-50 ball ability. The Browns don't have anybody on their roster who can be a 50-50 ball guy. Travis Hunter can be a 50-50 ball guy in the NFL. Hell, if you use him on offense and you don't want to use him too much, you know you can make him a 50-50 ball guy in the league. Athletic, super high, tracks the ball well, great instincts, can jump high as hell. So I think he offers something really intriguing specifically for the Browns on both sides of the ball. The thing that makes him unique is that he is somebody who I think fits both sides of the ball for Cleveland if he played for both sides. And yeah, will it be a risky pick? Or would it be a riskier pick than Abdul Carter? Yes, absolutely. But it could end up being one of the best selections in this draft because you could get a guy who could be a third down threat for you on offense and a third round stopper for you on defense. And if you can get that with one pick, that's a player who has immense value to your football team. But how does drafting Travis Hunter change what you do for the rest of the draft? Well, let's figure it out, right? So we're going to take Travis Hunter here, number 2 overall. ESPN's going to be shocked. Oh my God, they didn't go quarterback here, right? We're watching the board. Genty just went 4. Carter just slipped to 5. Mason Graham, Will Campbell here at 7. Let's continue. Michael Williams, Samar Stewart, Ted McMillan, Mike Green, Tyler Warren. All right, so at this point in the draft, Pittsburgh has the 21st pick. If Pittsburgh takes Shedeur Sanders, best of luck to you. But if Pittsburgh does not take Shedeur Sanders, okay, we're going to start trying to dig around here, right? See what we can do. Part of this is to secure Shedeur Sanders, make sure nobody jumps ahead of us at 33. But also part of this is to secure a 5th-year option on Shedeur Sanders. But let's see what happens here, right? So they go with Buka. Sanders is still there. We know that Baltimore is not going to trade with us. Maybe Detroit goes there. So we know Detroit, we could call them. Washington, we can call them. And in Los Angeles, we can call them, right? So if we call LA, we'll say, hey, Les Snead, how you doing? Quincy Carrier calling on behalf of Andrew Berry. We would like to swap you 33 for 26, so you would move back only 7 spots. And for your troubles, we'll give you a 4th-round pick. He says, yeah, that seems fine with me. You know, is this a pick? Is this a selection where you want to wait to see what's on the board? Absolutely. All right. So we're going to resume this draft. We know that we have this trade in our back pocket. If you're wondering if this trade is realistic, it absolutely is realistic because this is the price to get back into the 1st round from 33. Historically, is a 4th-round pick, especially a early 4th-round pick, would get this thing done. But let's continue, right? We got to make sure he makes it there. We still got a few picks before he gets there. Well, let's actually call Houston, see if we can end the anxiety early. So let's get on the ringer with Houston. Am I tripping? Okay, yeah, right here. And see if they would take that same deal. They might take that deal. So we'll just wait this one out. So Matthew Golden goes here. Tyler Booker goes here. All right, Colston Loveland goes here. Let's call. Let's do this trade. Now, you just said you would accept that. Okay. Here, 5th-round pick. Boom. So gave them a fourth, an extra fifth for their troubles just to get this trade through. We're going to go to quarterback. We're going to take Shedeur Sanders. Now, some of you may ask, why take Shedeur Sanders now? Right? If you weren't willing to take him at 2, why take him at 26? I talked about it earlier on this stream that the Browns have done stuff that has not worked before, right? One of those things that have not worked is taking the quarterback in the 20s in the first round. Is that going to be as damaging long term to you as it would be if you were to take the quarterback number 2? Does taking a quarterback at 26 take you out of the next year's draft class? I've talked about that being a big factor. The answers to that change a little bit at 26, in my opinion. Does trading back into the first round for Shedeur Sanders at 26 take you out of next year's draft class? I think the answer is maybe. If Shedeur Sanders shows promise, then yeah, you're not going to draft the quarterback in 2026. But if Shedeur Sanders is an absolute disaster in his rookie year, similar like Paxton Lynch or Brandon Whedon, then it absolutely does not stop you from taking a quarterback in the first round. It's really dependent on the performance of Shedeur Sanders. Why Shedeur at 26 and not 2? Well, that's because I got Travis Hunter or I got Abdul Carter. If I get Abdul Carter, if I get Travis Hunter, I'm building on my strategy of strengthening everything around the quarterback position. And then with a later pick using significantly less resources, I'm able to attack the quarterback position for a player that I think fits the draft spot that he would go in. We can argue all the live long day about whether it's realistic or not if Shedeur falls past this team or that team. The important thing to remember is we don't know what's realistic for Shedeur to fall because we don't know where Shedeur is going to go in this draft yet. All of this is theoretical. Shedeur could be the 10th pick. He could be the 2nd pick. He could be the 1st pick. He could be the 30th pick. He could be the 40th pick. We don't know where Shedeur is going to fall. All we could do is play out different scenarios. There is a chance that Shedeur Sanders falls to this part. If Shedeur Sanders does fall to this part and the price to get him is what? A couple of day 3 picks or just one day 3 pick is normally what it takes, then okay, you do that if you like Shedeur. I have Shedeur as my number 1 quarterback in this class. I think that he fits better for Cleveland. And if I compare Shedeur with Travis Hunter, his college roommate, I think that gives him a better chance to be successful in the NFL than most other situations. So, yeah, I'm sacrificing a little bit here, but I'm pairing up Shedeur with Travis Hunter. And if this is going to work, it's going to work like this, right? So let's do it. Now that takes us out the second round. Our first and second picks are Travis and Shedeur. There are going to be a lot of people unhappy with this, right? There are going to be people who do not love the fact that we're bringing on all this attention from what Colorado means and all the stuff that Dion and that brings. And that's going to be there, right? We're going to have to live with that. But if they work out as players, if Shedeur could be a decent quarterback, a starting level quarterback, not a superstar, if Travis Hunter can be an impact player on both sides of the football, well, then you just solved a ton of problems with 2 picks. And that's invaluable. So let's continue. Now we're sitting here at 67. If I'm the Browns, here's where you try to maneuver if you make this trade, this gap you're going to have from 94 to 179. You could also use something like Greg Newsome to get picks back into this range, right? But let's do that. Let's try to trade Greg Newsome now, right? We just drafted Travis Hunter. Our phone is ringing off the hook. People know that Greg Newsome is available. Carolina is interested in Greg Newsome. Let's see what we can get for Greg, right? Because Greg's a good player. He's former first-round pick. He's been a quality starter for us. Fans don't love him, but, fans don't love a lot of good corners. So Greg Newsome's available. We're calling Carolina. Carolina's interested in trading for Greg. And we're interested in trading Greg to them. So let's see what Carolina wants to give up, because now that we have traded that pick, we need to get some picks back. So Let's go shoot for the moon. You want to give us Greg Newsome for 74? They seem game. They're excited. Carolina, you call Carolina, you offer them Greg Newsome, and they're excited about it. So you're like, hold on, maybe we can get more now, right? What about 114? They're still excited. Okay, how about a pick swap? We swap you 179, 192 for 140. They're still excited. Okay, let's get greedy. Let's get 146. They don't want to give up 146. Okay, cool. We'll take this. 74, 114, 140 for Greg Newsome. This is a steal. I don't know if it's super realistic, but Carolina's willing to do it. They see something in Greg. We're willing to offer it. Go ahead. You get Greg Newsome and pick 192. We'll take it. All right. Now let's move on with our draft strategy, knowing that we have all of these extra picks. We have 67, 74, 94 in the third. How do we now build a defense in an offense? We got Travis Hunter, who will use as a two-way player. He's going to be offense, defense. Shedeur Sanders is the quarterback. Let's see what's available here. You got Essery here at tackle. That's a pick that I might be inclined to make, right? Cam Williams is there. Marcus and Bo is there. So tackle, this looks like the good spot to take a tackle, to be honest with you. And I want to get one of these tackle to guard guys. Tate Rutledge is there, who's just a straight up guard. Might see him as a little bit less useful because he doesn't have position versatility. We did not address the defensive line. So, Omar Norman Lott might be something that we want to consider here, right? Edge defender, is anybody interesting available here at edge? Not really. I don't like Josiah Stewart a ton. Not for the Browns. All right. So let's get a tackle. We just drafted a quarterback, a quasi wide receiver. Let's go tackle here. Cam Williams is the youngest player here, offers a ton of upside, 21.4. This might be something the Browns are interested in because he's super athletic. He's giant, 6'5", 335, super young, super raw. The problem with him is that he's just not very good right now. Essery is a redshirt senior, so he's significantly older, right? He's going to be somebody who you will want to select if you're more of a play now, win now team. Moves well, has that tackle size. Marcus and Bo hits that sweet spot. Still young, tackle guard. I probably go in Bo here, right? I go in Bo here. Yeah, let's go in Bo unless something at running back blows me away. The only thing at running back right now is Cam Scatterboo. Yeah, I'm willing to wait on quarterback because not quarterback, running back. Wide receiver, is there anything that's going to blow me away at wide receiver? No. Tight end, Mason Taylor is there. We might be able to get him at 74. I just don't want to play games with the offensive line. Corner here, nothing blowing me away. Is Xavier Watts available? No. Okay, so that would have been an immediate selection. Defensive interior, nothing there. And then let's look at linebacker real quick. All right, yeah, we'll go take him Bo. Now he's what tackle available? He's the fourth. How old is Ozzie Trapullo? Nah, too old. Way too old. If I'm going to develop somebody, I want to be under 22. Let's get in Bo here. All right, so we're sitting at 74. We just took a tackle / guard prospect. We have our quarterback, wide receiver, defensive back, kind of. Let's look at tight end here. Terrence Ferguson is there at 74. Harold Fainin Jr. is there at 99. I want to get some size here at tight end, if I'm being honest with you. So I think Gunnar Helm would probably make the most sense. 6'5", 250. Has a pretty translatable game to what the Browns like to do. Is anybody offering anything intriguing with trades? Not really. We also have safety, right? We need to fill safety. Makuba, Kevin Winston. Kevin Winston's super young, super talented. He was really good run defender last year. You know, he didn't play much in 20. He only played 2 games in 2024, so ignore his grade there. But 2023 was one of the better safeties in the country. Really, really high upside swing here. He's significantly younger than Ransom. I know that Ransom's 23. He's a little bit younger than Makuba, who's about 22. So they're about the same age. At 22, 21. He's younger than him. So maybe you go with the younger player to break the tie here. Let's go Winston. Let's get Winston here. I might want to get a defensive tackle before they're all off the board. And then I have 114. Let's look at tight end. Gunnar Helm could be there. If Helm is not there, do I feel good about any of these other guys? Not really. Not really sweating it. Jordan Phillips is still there at 94. I kind of got to do it. How old is Jordan, though? Redshirt sophomore? Oh, yeah, I got to do that. How old's Dion? Ooh, Dion's super young, too. And look how big Dion is. Dion moved really well at the combine. Has a pretty strong pass rush win rate. I like both of them. Let's go running back here. Is there anything I feel like I need to take? So right now, I'm trying to decide between Deion Walker, Jordan Phillips, Devin Neal, Gunnar Helm. I think that's where I'm at. This is a tough decision, right? Because I know of those 4 players, I have a decent chance of getting 2 of them. Right? So let's go ahead. I can pass on Neal. Phillips or Walker. So I could go Helm and Walker or Neal and Walker. I don't really need the tight end as much. I'm going to be pissed, dog. 11% pass rush run rate. What's the size on him? 6'3", 320. He can run the fan fine. Let's just take Jordan Phillips. I think he's a better player. Let's take Jordan. All right, we'll sweat it out to pick 114. All right, so we're sitting here at 114. Will Howard's there, Gunnar Helm still there, Kobe Bryant there. We took Travis, so we're not gonna go Kobe Bryant here, who I love taking at this point in the draft. We took a running back. No, we took Jordan Phillips. All right, let's see what running back's available. Blue. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get Trevor Etienne at 140. And if I can't get Etienne at 140, I'll go Ollie Gordon by Shul Tootin late. So I'm gonna stay away from running back here. I think I'm gonna just take Gunnar. Yeah, we'll just take Gunnar here. So we got tight end, defensive tackle. We still got to handle running back. We're gonna do that in round 5. All right, yeah, let's go ahead. If Trevor's there, let's take Trevor Etienne. Super underrated in this year's class. I think he's one of the 5 to 10 best running backs in this class. But I think off the field stuff has really hurt him more than anything. The tape's really strong. He's a good zone running back. Gap grade's pretty good. Super elusive, works out the backfield well. How big is he? 205, 5'9", 205, so good size on him. Yeah, let's go get our running back here, and then we'll try to swing back, get another dude. But we'll get Trevor here. And then we're going to wait till pick 179. So we basically in the trenches for the rest of the draft. But so far, Travis Hunter, wide receiver, corner. Shedeur Sanders, quarterback. Marcus Mbow could be a guard, could be a tackle. Kevin Winston will be your free safety. Jordan Phillips, you got an interior guy, pass rusher right away. Gunnar Helm, second tight end, could be your starter if you decide to move on from Njoku. Trevor Etienne, who I think will be a solid running back in the NFL. And that's what we have done with our first 6 selections. No, 7 selections. My bad. No, 6. I can't count. It's 7. All right. All right, man. Let's get back to it. Let's get back to it. Let's get back to it. All right. So we're picking what? 179. Let's see what's on the board here. Wide receiver wise. Nothing I want to swing at yet. Luke Lachey. If Luke Lachey's sitting there like 200, I'm taking him. Tootin's there. Tootin super fast. Jordan James, also another interesting change of pace guy you could throw in there. Maybe I want to go with somebody bigger because I did go Trevor Etienne. So maybe I want to set my sights on Ollie Gordon. And we're good on tackle. Corner, we're good. Defensive interior, another area. Zeke Biggers is there. Ty Robinson. I will take Ty Robinson at pick 216 if he's sitting there. I'm just going to let y'all know. Ty Robinson is not making it past pick 216. So if you would like Ty Robinson, please pick him before pick 216. If I want Ollie, I can wait on that. See here. Chat, who y'all think I should take? Tootin? Who we taking? Someone say get scat. Okay, chat behind. Let's just take a risk here. Let's get a big wide receiver. Let's go Prather right here. All right, at 200, it's probably going to be Lachey or Ali. Yeah, let's take Lachey or Ali. Let's see, tight end. Lachey's still there. Ali is still there, I'm assuming. Yeah, Ali's still there. Lachey's still there. Yeah, with these 3 picks, I want to somehow leave with Lachey, Ollie Gordon, and Ty Robinson. But I'm going to take Ty at 216. Is there another tight end I like if they fall past that range? I could take Howard Cross. Yeah, I'm going to go. Let's get Ali here. Actually, yeah, let's get Ali here. Big running back. And then we'll go Ty Robinson here. And then with 254, We're going to roll. Oh, Lester just went. We took Shador. So Jimmy Horn's here. We'll take him. No Jimmy Horn. All right. Let's Carson Vincent's still available. All right, let's go Vincent. Cool. All right. So that is the 7th round mock. First round, we go Travis Hunter. See how that changes up the draft. We make a trade to get back into the first round. Shador Sanders slips to pick 26. We jump up, we take him, right? I think if Shador falls past Pittsburgh, if you're the Browns, you got to consider making that move because I think Shador is a order of magnitude better of an option as a young quarterback than like Jalen Milroe. No disrespect to Jalen Milroe. I think he's fine if you got to draft somebody in the 3rd round. But we're talking about 2nd, late 1st. This dude makes so much more sense than all the other options. Marcus and Bo here, probably, I think, might be the most controversial pick here other than the top 2. Going tackle guard here. If he can play tackle, then you have another body you can have be healthy at the tackle position. But if he's not a good tackle in the NFL, you can just slide him inside the guard, and then you have Wyatt Teller's replacement on hand. You already drafted Zinter last year to be Joel's replacement, so you got 2 backups, and now all of a sudden you're more prepared on the offensive line. Kevin Winston, that's going to be somebody you draft to try to take the spot of Juan Thornhill at free safety. Him and Ronnie Hickman can battle it out for that position. Hopefully Kevin Winston wins that battle. Cool. Jordan Phillips, you get a defensive interior impact player, somebody who could be a pass rusher from the interior, as well as a decent run stuffer. Gunnar Helm in the 4th round, solid tight end, right? Not going to get you 1,000 yards, but definitely going to get you 400, 500. Trevor Etienne, I think, will be a solid running back in the NFL. Caden Prather, you take a flyer on a big, tall, athletic wide receiver, one that's a body type that you don't really have much in your wide receiver room, so take a chance there. Ollie Gordon, big-bodied running back to pair with Trevor Etienne and Nick Chubb if you bring him back. Ty Robinson, I like him, long, strong defender, more athletic than you think. If you can get him at 216, I'm doing backflips. Carson Vincent, experimental tackle, had a pretty solid Senior Bowl. So, you get him at 254. I think that's a pretty good experimental tackle to have on the back end of your roster, possibly on your practice squad. So that is that mock draft scenario. All right, y'all. Where's y'all? If we can get your questions on screen as we wrap up today's stream, let's do it. All right, my guy here says, whatever happened to the Kyle Trask talk? Came and went. Kyle Trask signed a backup contract to be Baker Mayfield's backup. So must have been smoke. Because they were more interested in trading a pick for Kenny Pickett than they were in taking Kyle Trask at a pretty similar deal to what Kenny Pickett makes right now. So I guess their evaluation of him was never that high. World's Fastest Fat Man says, and what will Russ cost? I'm also willing to see what Cousins cost to trade for. That is another factor in this conversation. I think it's hard to gauge right now, right? What will these two cost to bring in, right? What will Russ cost? What will Kirk Cousins cost if you have to trade for him, right? I don't know. It doesn't feel like vet minimums right now. Like it feels like there's more demand out there than a vet minimum. With Russ, if I have to pay Russ more than like $15 million and most of that 15 is in incentives, I'm out. With Kirk, it's a similar deal, right? I'll give you the $8-9 million contract for a backup / starter. But if Kirk is making me spend 20 in new money on him, not just what you inherit from Atlanta, pick wise, what is the limit for Kirk Cousins? I would say I wouldn't want to spend more than like a 5th or a 6th, right? Like I think a 6th round and a 2026 7th should get it done. because they're desperate to get anything out this situation in Atlanta. If Cam Ward is there at 2, do you take him? I would pass on him. I'm not really a big fan of him at number 2. I don't think that's going to be it would be difficult for me to pass on him. I'm fine with it. The issues I have with Cam Ward, there's a lot, right? I don't think he's a very accurate quarterback. His weighted on target is not great. 61, which is one of the lowest in the draft class. Then you have stuff like his willingness to evade clean pockets, his willingness to hold the football. And I think the most damaging thing for him, to me, is he is very bad at situational football. Yeah, he'll have moments where he digs himself out of a hole, but he almost always digs himself into that hole. And I think that's a horrific trait to have in the NFL as a quarterback, especially given that Cam Ward played so much football that you would expect that not to be a problem, right? But, living and dying by the seat of your pants and playing that risky style and doing risky stuff, it's fine in college, but very rarely do guys who are that risky with the football, who play that bad situationally, pan out in the NFL. And I think that's the biggest thing Cam has working against him is he's too experienced to have some of these issues you have with him. Eugene Asante. Let me Google this name because I'm not 100% sure I am familiar with Eugene Asante. Is he a tackle prospect? A linebacker? I ain't looking into linebackers too deeply. I don't think the Browns are going to be crazy into linebackers, so I don't know much about him. The only thing I could tell you artificially is nothing substance. I have no substance on this one, but he's 24. The Browns don't usually draft players that old. So that's I don't really have any other take on him. I haven't watched him a ton. I would be lying bold-faced if I told you I knew anything about him other than that. All right. So it's pretty much where we're at. It's going to be an interesting month until we get to the draft. You're going to hear a lot. You're going to hear it's going to move a ton, especially if New York and Cleveland don't make an obvious move at quarterback, right? If nobody signs Russ, if nobody signs Kirk Cousins, you're going to see a lot of stuff out there. I don't know what they ultimately do. I could see the appeal of a quarterback, but everything the Browns have done so far and everything the Browns have done in the last 5 years since Andrew Berry has been here screams to me that they're not going to make the emotional decision. And it feels like drafting a quarterback at 2 would be the emotional decision. I think they like to think of themselves as very rational. And if they think of themselves as rational, unless they have a very high grade on Cam Ward, I don't think they're going to do it. Or Shedeur Sanders, I don't think they're going to do either of those two at 2. So I don't think they go with him there. I don't know how the Browns are going to get through this year at quarterback. It's going to be tough. There's not a real obvious good answer here. But that's what we have the whole offseason to find out. And hey, look, if you're subscribed to the OBR, you can make sure that you get a heads up on whatever goes now with the quarterback position before your peers. Sign up with the OBR. Make sure you're locked in for this for the rest of free agency and the draft, so you could be the smartest person at your job's water cooler or whatever. What's the digital version of a water cooler? Is it just like group text? Is that what we're doing now? Group text? Be the smartest guy in your group text. Be the Adam Schefter of your group text. But make sure you sign up for the OBR. Get that inside information that the OBR offers, and also all the content that the OBR produces. Great stuff from guys like Jack Duffin, who drops gems on a regular basis. So make sure you're locked in here. This has been it for Quincy Carrier Live. Appreciate you guys for joining us today. And hopefully you guys will continue to watch the rest of this week's slate of content from the OBR, Browns focused stuff. And then we'll be back here before you know it for another Monday, reacting to what's going on with the Cleveland Browns. Y'all have a great day. Have a better night. I'll see you later.
Oh, wow. We're coming to another Monday night holiday. They just sneak up onto you, don't they? Just every week. Welcome in, guys, to another mock draft duel. I'm Jacob Roach. That's Sam Penix over there. I will say I have been a little bit under the weather the last 2 or 3 days, so I got a sore throat and a little congested. I'm a lot better than I was. But so I apologize for any sound issues. So welcome in, everybody. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up. Sam, how you doing today, man? You did it again, by the way. Yeah.
It's because I'm trying to balance 2 different machines here. I'm doing well. I'm not feeling under the weather, but a slow week of free agency will do that to you. So it happens.
It certainly didn't make it any easier. It wasn't like I was sitting around being sick, but I was still going, oh, cool, look what happened, you know? No. I was sitting around sick and I was bored. I was like,
wait, this wasn't supposed to happen.
This is not what we're supposed to do. We were off last week. The week before, we didn't do a mock draft. It's been like 3 weeks since we've done a mock draft on this show. Just because of everything going on. We have a special show coming for you guys next Monday. Ryan Roberts will join us, and we'll have some fun there. But we've got some. Are we ready for Kenny Pickett mania? I guess we've got to ask the question, Sam. Are you ready for Kenny Pickett mania?
I mean, right now there's no choice, right? Because that is the solution currently. So. Whether you want to or not, you're ready.
He quite literally is the only one on the roster, correct? Like, I don't think.
Aside from he who shall not be named.
Oh shit!
but yeah, the only one who would currently pass a physical and be allowed to play. Yes.
I can't believe I did that. I cannot believe.
See, everyone just forgets.
I'm happy. I'm happy that I forgot. All right, let's do it. Let's get into one thing. We've already got the comments going in. One thing I know, Sam's going to ditch those late round picks. You know, there is nobody happier in the world that the Browns went from 12 picks, then to 11, and then to 10 than Sam Penix.
For the past couple weeks on the daily mock drafts, I have not traded all the late round picks, and they've been 2 of the most miserable times of my life, honestly, because it's just rough down there.
Dude, I was talking to fellow OBR writer Casey Kenneman the other day about it. I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter how much you love mock drafts, and I love mock drafts, but like when you're doing even if it's just one paragraph, a write up of 12 players every week, like it was rough. Like there was a lot of like
a lot of them are the same guys. It's like how many different ways can I describe Abdul Carter? Like I'm running out of things to say.
It's like he's explosive. He has good hands. Okay, now how do I say that again? Do I just reverse the order? He has good hands. He's explosive.
Mm-hmm. ChatGPT, rewrite this in my own words.
Hey, don't.
If Pete is watching and Barry, I don't actually do that.
No, I don't do that.
So
I don't do that. Who are you talking about? Anyway, so let's get into it. Let's get into the mock draft, man. I'm gonna do PFF simulator this week, and then next week we'll let Mr. Roberts, when he's here, he'll get to select that. Okay, let's do it up here. All right, I will kick us off while you get yours already. Here we go. Cam Ward. You know what's really funny? Oh, I don't have it up on my screen. I thought I put it on the screen. You know what's really funny, actually, Sam? Are you using NFL Mock Draft Database?
I am.
So have you noticed, and I don't know, have you noticed that like it's been pretty consistent when I've gotten on that website lately that they're doing Abdul Carter at 1?
Oh, it doesn't. There's no way around it. So what I do is there's another Penn State edge in the class.
Uh-huh.
He's like ranked in the 300s or something.
Yeah.
So I just select him, and then you HTML edit Abdul Carter's name in there, and then you're good to go. And nothing else, doesn't affect anything else, but it still ends up on your final results. So that's probably, I may do that tonight.
You do what you got. I used that. I used that so that I could take Cam Warnick too for my mock today on the website.
I don't think that's going to work on draft night. And they have to, fax the picks in. I think they got to. I don't think they'll be able to do that. So
do like fax then. Let's look. I want to trade. I think I want to trade back. Okay, the first
one of us has to do it.
The first team willing to trade back is New Orleans back at 9, so they're going to have to give me quite a bit if they want 9. So I want picks 40. I want your first and second next year. And you know what? I'll be even nice to you. I'll give you 216 back. How about that? All right, let's see. Got it. Trade accepted. Let's see who they take. They took Travis Hunter.
It was that 216 that really sold the deal there.
Son of a bitch. I was going to take Armand Membu. As you can see, if you guys can see the screen here, Armand Membu went 7 to the Jets. I was hoping I could trade back, get a lot of draft capital, and get Armand Membu. If you want to know more about Armand Membu, who's my number 1 tackle, and I think I have him 10th overall on my big board. My top 100 big board just dropped at the OBR.com. I got a write-up with him for tomorrow. I was talking to a friend, Bill Sparks, who was on the program a few weeks back, and he said it the best way. He goes, dude, his hand technique is a hot dumpster fire. Like, it's so wildly inconsistent, but he is a mean son of a gun. He's got quick feet. He's a great athlete, and he'll put you in the ground. He's like, if you could teach that dude how he's supposed to use his hands, he's going to be a nasty tackle at the next level. And I'm like, yeah, I know. So I wanted to highlight that. Okay. I see some people talking about it. If I fall all the way back to 9 and Ted McMillan's there, a big-bodied wide receiver who I know there's some separation issues and some things like that, but I just think that dude is just a heck of a football player. Just catches everything. He's got those long arms and those long legs and such a big stride. I just think he creates, and I think he's faster than people give him credit for. I know there was this buzz that he ran a 4.45, and I was super excited. And then a bunch of other people were like, "No, it was in the 4.5s," and I was like, "Yeah, that probably checks out a little bit better." But either way, I think he's a really, really fun wide receiver. So that's what I'm going to do with that trade back.
Yeah, if you're picking in that 8 to 15 range, and I don't know that you're gonna get much argument against someone like McMillan, because I think, yeah, he has your standard big wide receiver profile concerns, but he's also just a really good player, and I think he can overcome some of those things just because he has those premier traits that he's been able to display on film for the past few years.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
All right. So over here, like we said before, Carter goes first overall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the edge rankings, go all the way down here to this guy. And now that's going, ignore this for now. This is actually Abdul Carter, and we'll fix that later. So,
dude, how are they going to even when it's not Abdul Carter? They didn't even give you an F. They just gave you a B+.
Yeah, there's like, how do you get an F? I don't know, to take like a punter or something.
You took somebody in like the 300s, and they're like, yeah, that's just a B+.
I am like really messing up with the consensus ranks, because that guy's gonna like shoot up the draft board because people start doing that. He ends up in the like 80s. And it's like, wait, what? This guy you didn't even declare. Like, what?
Oh goodness. You sound like you're in plane. Make it. Yeah. I'm pretty good, Brian. Outside of my throat, I have a sore throat now, and that's pretty much what's left from my sickness. That's pretty much all I've got. As soon as we're done with this show, I'm popping NyQuil and I'm passing out, because that's where we are. All right. So I got the wide receiver. I'm telling you, it's a. What are we doing here? A lot of the year, Nick Scourton went into the year. I don't know if he was consensus edge one, but he was a lot of people's. He was my edge one going into the season. Some people thought he put on some bad weight, but he still had a 17% pass rush win rate. He only had the 4 sacks, but like nobody had any sacks for Texas A&M, like none of them. And I know did you?
Yeah, I had the only one actually.
It was just the one.
It was a cleanup sack, but it's still a sack.
Yeah, it was everybody else. They just like, yeah. And here's the interesting thing: I get to pick again in just a few picks here at 40.
You're in a very interesting situation. This would be really great in real life. I think I would love to have 2 early seconds.
Yeah,
just because I think there's going to be a lot of interesting talent at that point and talent at positions of need, including this guy right here.
Here's the difference. I see some people talking about Darius Alexander. His age is going to be a problem for Andrew Berry. He's like a 6th year. Is he a 6th year senior or a 5th year senior? Something.
Either way, he's a senior citizen in their eyes.
Yeah. So I'm going to take Derek Harmon. I'm going to take the interior pass rusher here. And I'll go real quick.
I took Harmon at 33 in the daily mock draft for tomorrow, and I just think he makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
and I think there's a good argument to be made. He's a better run defender right now than he is a pass rusher, but he has that really high pass rush ceiling, and he also has just that, like he's a complete package run, like interior defender. You know, he's got those long arms. I think 34.5-inch arms. He's tall. He's well built. He stands up to double teams well. He can lock into the block and extend in 2-gap, which the Browns don't really have anyone who can do that right now. And I think, again, it's really difficult for a rookie defensive tackle to play well.
Yep.
I mentioned this in the article, but Mike Hall's rookie season last year was in the upper quartile of all rookie DT outcomes over the past decade. So like that's like as good as it gets just about. The chances of you getting lucky again and getting that kind of performance out of a rookie tackle, pretty low. But I think the long-term outlook on a guy like Harmon is really encouraging. And I think he would be an excellent pick if he's there at 33.
And if he gets that chance to grow with Mike Hall, you know,
that's a good duo. Yeah.
Like, and don't forget that dude that plays outside of him. like just like
he's pretty good. He's still on the team.
Yeah, he's still on the team. I admit it's funny when you upset the algorithm because then people are starting to wonder what the secret is. That's mixed NyQuil with vodka, the Green Hulk. Okay, I don't know. That sounds scary. Let's see. I really like Harmon. He has the crazy size and ability to do it all. Yep. He's the poor man's Dexter Lawrence. I think that's pretty
interesting. He's not nearly as big.
No, but
Dexter Lawrence was just like, he's just an absolute freak. Like that guy was just such a unique prospect. You could just tell like he had it all, and he's been able to put it together. And he's, I think, pound for pound, no pun intended, the best defensive tackle in the game right now.
So yeah, he's not there. And I know he's rated way back down here somewhere. Wait a minute. Jackson Dart did go 34 in this mock. Interesting. I have not seen like a PFF.
That would be something. Dart before Sanders.
I'm going to assume Sanders is not there for the purpose of this. And for that reason, I don't want to mess around anymore because we have already lost Dart. And I know he's rated much lower, but I think Jalen Milroe's got the highest ceiling of any quarterback. I agree, Jeffrey. If Sanders is here, you should take him. If he's there at 40, absolutely. I have him I have him at 22 on my big board. Like, so you said absolutely take him. I'm going to assume he's not just for that reason. So I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and take Jalen Milroe. I think he's got the highest ceiling. I think one thing that I thought was really cool about him at the combine was he looked so much more comfortable, looked so much more prepared. So you can see where he's putting in that time, effort to kind of fix some of the issues in his game. So I'm going to take Jalen Milroe and pass it off to you. Oh, there we go.
All right. So that's a pretty garbage trade offer. Doing that. All right, so we're not trading down. Something I think is weird about NFL mock draft database is they have the whole trade logic thing for when you're the one proposing the trade.
Yeah.
But then if you tried to propose a trade that another team proposed to you, you wouldn't be able to pass it because it'd be too lopsided in the other team's favor. So yeah. It's like the logic doesn't apply to the CPU, I guess. So
there was one
it's
time,
an age-old video game issue.
There was one time I remember they were wanting my first round pick. This was probably I don't know if this was this year or whatever, but I remember they wanted like a first or second round pick, and they were offering me 5 picks all next year. They didn't offer me a single pick in the draft that they were trying to trade for. But they're like, we'll give you our 3, 4, 5, 6 next year. Like, that's for you.
So this is an interesting scenario, and I kind of think this is what may end up happening.
Mm-hmm.
All the tackles are gone.
Yeah.
Donovan Jackson is gone. So, like, everyone you think could step in and play tackle for you day one is not on the board.
Yeah.
So I think what they're going to have to end up doing, I can't scroll over, but you have to get in front of Houston if you want to tackle. And I think that pick 24 spot to the Vikings is the prime trade up spot because they only have 4 or 5 picks in the draft.
They have 4 picks.
I think they would be so they would be very, especially considering who their GM is, I think they'd be very interested in moving down 9 spots here to pick up an extra third. So I could definitely see that happening if someone like Connerly is falling and the Browns like him and think he can be that guy. That could happen. But I also think that signing Cornelius Lucas gives them a lot of flexibility to where you're no longer pigeonholed in okay, we have to find a day one starting left tackle because Lucas is going to be just fine. I think he's going to be an upgrade over Wills, not in talent or high end reps, but in consistency. That guy's a starting caliber tackle on either side of the line. Mm-hmm. So that was a great signing, and I think that opens up some options. I do think you still need to come out of this draft with a prospect who you believe can develop into a starting left tackle at some point. The issue becomes, if this happens, what do you do with that? Because you're not taking Williams at this point to play day one. That's an option you explore at 67, I think, and I'd be interested in that. But we'll see if that even ends up being a possibility for us. None of these other guys I'm taking this early to play tackle for me, and then the same goes for Zabel and Bo. So we go back here. Jahad Campbell is very interesting for a couple different reasons, especially if you aren't encouraged by the prognosis on JOK. Plus, he's just a really talented player. Malachi Starks was really good. You don't have a starting safety right now, so that could be interesting. Nick Evenwari is also really interesting. I mean, that guy's just an absolute alien.
Freak.
Hampton, Dart, we could explore here. A lot of talented players on the board. I kind of have my eye on Ibuka.
Okay, yeah. I like it.
I know he's not going to be the most explosive, athletic, flashy playmaker, but he's just a really good receiver. He's just consistent. He can really do everything you ask of him. He can line up inside. He can line up outside. runs good routes. I think he's fast enough. I just think getting a player of his caliber, I think he should be a first-round pick. Him being available at 33 would tempt me a lot, especially if the board falls this way, where none of those tackles are on the board. You don't have guys like Scorton. I would be okay with like any of these guys right now, but I'm just for, novelty here. We'll go with Ibuka, and we'll see how the rest of the board plays out.
All right. Take this one. We'll go over here. All right. At 67, we look here. So we've gone wide receiver, defensive tackle, and quarterback. When I look at offensive tackle, yeah, this is probably the range 67. Like you were talking about that the range for like Cameron Williams. I'm more interested in one of these two, and Marcus Bowe or Jonas Savanaia. I think Savanaia can play tackle, and I think Bowe could too. But I tend to believe that Bowe should either be a guard or a center.
A really good, perfect scheme fit.
I think Bowe would be fantastic at center. Like I think he would be a fantastic center, and perfect scheme fit because of the athlete. Yeah, you're right. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to take Bowe because I think he's perfect for the interior or that center position, a potential successor to Ethan Posick. And you never know. He gets into camp and just blows you away at tackle. Okay.
You're not going to complain like, oh, we didn't get a center. No.
Oh, darn it. We got to play this dude at tackle?
Darn it. Shoot. That's terrible.
It's like
multiple ways to hit on that guy.
Yeah.
All right.
I have seen this come up a lot. The idea of taking Travis Hunter and Sanders. Like, listen, if you took Travis Hunter, and I think this is on the table, like, I think the Browns could trade up into the 20s for multiple different reasons. They could do it for a quarterback that falls if they don't take one at 2. They could do it for an offensive lineman. They could do it potentially for somebody on the defensive line that they like that falls. But, like, I think there's a really good chance they're positioned really well to potentially do that for somebody they really like.
Yep. So we have some interesting players here. I think what I might do, since Io Manor, I don't think he's going to be there, and we already took Ibuka. Usually I'm interested in I think these 2 picks here are a sweet spot for, you got to get at least 1 running back, maybe even 2. Losing that 5th round, unfortunately, I think hurts a lot because I think you could have, again, gotten a running back there. I think I'm going to take the guy who you did not take over on yours. Again, Milam I'd be interested in, but I think Savanaia makes sense here. Jared Wilson also is tempting, but yeah. I think getting a guy who you can try at tackle, and if not, you think he can be a long-term starter at guard, I'm happy with that at 67, because either one way or the other, you're getting a guy who's probably going to start for you, and I'm happy with that in the 3rd round.
Okay. Yeah. I'm good with that. I get that. All right. Let's see here. This is Devin Neal, who's sitting here at pick 94, the running back from Kansas. I think that's a perfect fit, man. Like,
yeah,
I just think the patience, the eyes, the explosiveness, I think it's all there. You can see 17 carries over 15, 814 yards after contact is fun to see. There's 3.73, but another thing though, 26 receptions, 25 receptions, 21 receptions. So you see a dual threat guy. So I'm sitting here looking at it, and I think that's where I got to strike. Because I'm with you too. I think one of these top 4 or 5 picks has got to be a running back, in my opinion, because that's when you can hit that sweet spot for doubling up if you want to take a more role specific later.
Yeah. So speaking of, let's see what kind of running backs we have here.
Uh-oh.
A lot of them went.
Did you lose them all?
Not all of them. I don't know. According to the board, this is too early for RJ Harvey, but I don't think it is.
Let me see.
I think you could take him here and be pretty satisfied with that. I could get him at 104 most likely, but
I got him 77th on my big board.
Yeah, like that's perfectly fine. I think we're going to end up with some good talent at 104. So let's go with Harvey, home run threat. Happy with that.
All right.
Then
you got your RJ Harvey pick. All right, so let's see. I'm back on the clock. Let's revisit us again. Wide receiver, defensive tackle, quarterback, tackle, running back. So really, really made that over. I'm looking for, there he is, Jacob Parrish, the corner from Kansas State. I think he's really young too. Yeah, he's like just turned 21. As you can see, that's my favorite thing too. Is I'm always like, oh wait, 5'10", 198. More of a speed guy. I think he played pretty exclusively. Yeah, pretty much exclusively. But you can see he's taken snaps, in the slot, less than 100 the last 2 years. But he's done some of those things if you want him to do it. Not that many missed tackles. So I think they're reliable there. But I think he's a really, really quick, really athletic corner. He's just got to work on some of the techniques. Work on kind of identifying what an offense is doing, and I think he bails too early sometimes, and then he just kind of like loses sight of where his guy is. But physically wise, I think Jacob Parrish has got what he needs to be an NFL corner.
Yeah, go get some more athletes in that secondary. They need it.
Did you see Juan? Will we still get to see Juan twice this year?
Yeah, I'm sure they're happy about that.
I did get a Steelers, a friend of mine that's a Steelers fan, reach out to me, say, what do you think about this guy? Because whenever the Browns sign somebody that's played for the Steelers, he usually reaches out to me. And I just sent him the play in New Orleans where he jogged and let MVS go for the touchdown. I just didn't say anything else. I just sent that to him.
Yeah. Maybe he'll be good there. Kind of seemed like it was just a payday here. Like completely different player from what he was in Kansas City, which was the same thing that happened with John Johnson in Cleveland. So just there's a trend here. So, which
is crazy because Thornhill got a Browns tattoo before he ever played a game with them.
That was, little did we know, that was part of the contract stipulations for his guarantees.
Oh,
he only triggered once he got a tattoo, and then he didn't have to do anything else.
So.
Yeah. So I would take Milam here, but I don't think he's lasting that long. So we're going to pass on that. I'm still interested as to why Tez Johnson is hanging out in the top 100, given his physical limitations.
Dude, you can't be slow. You cannot be small and slow.
I'd take a flyer on day 3 just to see if that was a fluke, Jerry Jeudy agility testing type, but nothing more than that. He's just way too much of an outlier. So I think this is the point to take a tackle, and I'm going to take my guy Anthony Belton. I think he's one of the few guys left on the board where you've seen it to the point where, okay, he's got good tape, he's got the size, he's got the athletic ability, he has the arm length, all the tools necessary to be a starting tackle in the league, and I just like what he's put on film. So I'm more than happy to take him here at 104.
All right. Well, I'm going to take a tackle myself. Jack Nelson, the left tackle here out of Wisconsin. I actually have him as prospect 100 on my big board. Like, he's the cutoff of top 100. I just don't think he's 6'7", Yeah, 6'7". I know he's a redshirt senior. I get that. 6'7", but you look, and it shows up here in his zone grade. Like, this dude moves. Like,
He can move. Yep.
and it's like, when you've got some of those physical tools, like he's got a frame where he could get bigger and be more effective as a run block because he's 6'7". I think he's only like 315. So like normally you see those guys be like 330 and things like that. Ton of experience. Comes from a place that's known to have some good offensive linemen. But I think once you're picking here in what am I in the 6th round now? I just think he's a really good tackle prospect that he needs time. For a guy that's got that much experience, you don't love that he needs time, but it is what it is. I just think he's got the physical tools to really be kind of a difference maker.
Yeah, I like it. I would be happy with him there. Some technique things to clean up, but they need movers at tackle, and I think he'd be a very good scheme fit. So let's see, we've addressed defensive line, receiver, tackle, guard, and running back. So we can kind of think BPA. I love Willie Lampkin. He's so good. I don't know if we can take him here, though.
You can take whoever you
Elijah
want.
Roberts, maybe. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I'm especially at this point, I try to stay away from like huge pick outliers, and that's 40 selections. Yeah, I like Brenningstool.
Mm-hmm.
There's some good running backs still on the board. Yeah, Lambert Smith is climbing up draft boards. Interesting. All right, I think I'm going to take Jalen Conyers, your guy. I'll take a big blocking tight end who's actually a crazy athlete.
Right.
Me.
You because you look at his measurables, and you're like, oh my god, there's a blocker. That's awesome. Let me get.
He's probably a lumbering. Oh.
You're like,
Okay.
What? He did what? Like, I knew he was going to run fast at the combine. Like, I knew he was going to do something, and then like, I didn't see it happen live, and I was looking at it like later that night, and I was like, "Are you serious right now? Like, that's what we're doing?"
It's a typo, right?
Luke Lachey, he has the tools to be the next great tight end from Iowa. There's some injuries in there and some things that just never quite developed. But I never really hold Iowa tight ends receiving stats against them because they never have a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here in the 6th round. I need a tight end. I want to take a guy that at one point was thought of very highly in that program as a tight end, and that we know what that program does with tight ends. So I'm gonna take Luke Lachey.
I like it. I'm a fan.
I just like I love like late in the draft when you get those opportunities where it's like this guy just never panned out, like, and because and this is not a knock on some on Iowa in particular, but sometimes these guys go to programs that just don't know how to coach them right. Not necessarily that those guys don't know how to coach, but they weren't able to coach him right and put him in the places he needed to succeed. And then you draft him, and then it's like, oh, you ended up having a tight end coach who was just able to get through to him in just the right kind of way. It works.
I think I'm going to go with Ty Hamilton here and hope that he can translate that run stuffing ability to the NFL. Not a guarantee, but that's why it's pick 192. I think that's a need for this team, even if you don't value run defense very highly from your defensive tackles, which it seems like they're not really going that direction. I think you still need a guy who could do that, because right now, when you go to your Bear front, what does that look like? Like, are you playing Shelby Harris at nose? Are you playing Malik Collins at nose? Or are you playing Jawan Briggs at nose? I'm not thrilled with any of those options. I think it's probably Harris, but he's a 3-tech. So I think adding this skill set body type to that room, I think helps, even if he doesn't end up making the team.
Yeah. This is going to be my favorite. Oh, hold on. We had a question. Where was that question? Will Shepard. He wants to know where we think Will Shepard will go, the wide receiver from Colorado. Let me see if I've got him.
I would say probably 5th or 6th round. And I think that's a good value. I mean, there's some consistency issues there, but he's a talented player, and he's got a lot of good reps on film where he makes some pretty special grabs and bails out Sanders.
There you go. I don't think I've done much on him. I always go to my list and I just I do the Control F and I'm like, where the heck did I get? I didn't really come up with anything that time.
Yeah.
All right.
A lot of the times I'm watching someone, I just get distracted by another player and I go down that rabbit hole.
Do you know one of my favorite things to do is I like to, if I'm watching a skill player or a quarterback, I love, especially wide receivers, because when you get the end zone view for the wide receiver, you can almost never see shit from it.
Right.
So, like, when I was watching Matthew Golden, I was also watching Kelvin Banks. So it would be like they would throw the ball and then they'd go to the end zone. You couldn't see Matthew Golden anymore. So I just watched Kelvin Banks. I'm like 2-for-1 special, and I had 2 notes. I had my notepad with a line down the middle, and I was just scribbling on both sides. I'm like, I had 2 birds for 1 stone.
So it was like when I was watching Cam Ward. I'm like, wow, this Restrepo guy is really good.
Yeah,
that's just what I came away with. So
yeah. I was like, is that guy? And then you'll see like somebody on the offensive line. You're like, is that guy draft eligible? Because like I would take him right now.
It's like, oh, actually, this was his first game. Oh man,
like ever. Taj Brooks is my favorite late round power back. And you can see here he rushed for 1,500 yards in back-to-back seasons. He loves to snatch souls. He likes to snatch souls from people right out of their hearts. Mm-hmm. So give me Taj Brooks to be my pseudo Kareem Hunt role replacement.
I'm also taking a running back here at 200. I'm going with Donovan Edwards. I know it may not be the popular pick. You know, there's some production play time issues, but he's got some really good reps, and physically he has it. You know, he's got that explosiveness. He can hit the hole really hard, and then he's got good long speed. I think he can be a better, more productive NFL player than he was in college. And I mean, pick 200, like, sign me up.
Yeah. I mean, he was supposed to be that dude this year. And
I mean, he was on the cover of NCAA football, for Pete's sake. And then nothing.
And I know we make jokes about stuff like that, but like that game was coming back, and it's always about putting a star on there, because like that's just, I mean, it's how you sell stuff, right? You guys are fine. I know you guys are talking about food and stuff in the chat. You're fine. You can do whatever the heck you want to do over there. I'm just making sure I check and see if you're talking about football or food.
Your dad.
Yeah, we don't give a shit. You know, we get to be here because you guys tune in. You read our stuff and watch our stuff, and that's why we get to do this shit. So, like,
if we don't get 8 comments per video per hour, we don't get to do this show. Barry says no, so
we get lashed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like,
We get
you know,
docked.
you get docked.
We didn't get our quota.
It's like, how much money did you make this month? -10. I didn't get enough comments.
You have to pay.
We have to pay this. I've been told, by the way, maybe you know better, but I've been told that this guy's name here, the linebacker from California, it's like saying Teddy E with a soft E at the end. In case you wanted to know how to say his name.
So it's Teddy E?
Yeah, it's like a soft E. I don't know.
Soft E.
I don't know what a.
What does that mean? What, as opposed to a hard E?
Teddy, huh?
I know there's long and short E, but what is a hard and soft E?
Maybe it's short. Maybe it's a short. I don't.
Teddy or Ted-I?
Ted-I. I'm gonna take him though because I like him. He's a good athlete. Plays pretty well in coverage.
Whatever his name is.
Doesn't miss a ton of tackles. Moves all over the place. Could be a quality special teamer. Pretty good athlete. So we'll take him for my final pick, and we'll get this off the screen before we see how bad PFF graded it at. Yeah.
We got two more. Let's see. What kind of?
Oh, that's right. Because I traded it.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering why I was missing.
That's my job. You're stealing my job. So we get docked and my job is taken. So
yeah, I'm
not having a good night. And I took the wrong Penn State edge. Second overall. It's like the Browns trying to take Cameron Jordan in the 4th round, and it ended up being Jordan Cameron, and they didn't know. And then the guy ends up making a Pro Bowl anyway. So
my favorite. That's not even the best Jordan Cameron news. Remember when they said he re-signed with the Browns after that big year he had, and everybody reported that he re-signed, and then like an hour later, like, no, actually he signed with Miami.
It's just a prank.
It was reported by major news outlets. It wasn't like a nobody like me said it. It was like ESPN's like,
yes,
Jordan Cameron re-signed with the Browns.
Terrible. All right. I'm going to take a flyer here on Jason Marshall. Used to be thought highly of. He had some injury issues, but I don't know. I think at this point, I'm just looking for guys who you think can compete for a spot, can maybe recapture something, or have a really high-end trait somewhere in their profile, and I think that makes sense there. And then here at the very end, I don't know, what do we got here? See, this is why I always trade these picks.
You're like, who's this guy?
I'm not intrusive thought to take a punter, but I'm not going to do it. Let's take a quarterback. Let's see what kind of QBs we got.
Yeah.
How about Brosmer? Let's do it. There's your quarterback, because I know it's a requirement that we get a quarterback.
Okay, well, go ahead and walk us through.
So we definitely took Abdul Carter, and that's where this link will take you to, 100%. Abdul Carter at 2. We had Emeka Ibuka fall to us at 33, the wide receiver from Ohio State. At 67, we took Jonah Savanaia from Arizona. Try him out at tackle, see what happens, and then if not, he should be a really good guard for you. Running back RJ Harvey at 94 to kind of spearhead the new RB by committee that we're building. At 104, we took Anthony Belton, the tackle from North Carolina State. I think he has all the physical tools to be a starting caliber tackle, and I think he has some of the better tape in the class out of these mid-tier guys. 179, Jalen Conyers, the big, physical, athletic blocking tight end with apparently some really good receiving ability potential there. So good addition to the offense for depth. 192, Ty Hamilton, run-stopping defensive tackle from Ohio State. At 200, running back Donovan Edwards from Michigan. And then 216, Jason Marshall, the corner from Florida. And then wrapping it up with Max Brosmer, the quarterback from Minnesota.
Question, we just where's the draft? It is at Lambeau Field. Isn't that kind of weird that it's actually at the stadium? I thought that was kind of weird.
That doesn't leave them much. Is everything confined to within the stadium, or are they using the whole property? Because that doesn't. If you're just on the stadium, that doesn't give you much room. Because when it was in Cleveland, and I mean everywhere else, it's just sprawling. There's tons of different things. You walk around for a long time because there's so many different things going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I'd have to look up that aspect of it. I do know it's supposed to be
and a half.
I know it's supposed to be at Lambeau Field. All right, I traded back to number 9, got a first and a second next year, as well as pick 40. I sent 216 out the door. Tet McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona, at number 9. Derek Harmon, the pass rushing defensive tackle from Oregon, at number 33. Jalen Milroe fell to me, pick 40 in the second round, highest ceiling of anybody, at any quarterback in this class, but also probably needs the most work of any quarterback in this class. Marcus Bowe, who I think will be an amazing center, maybe a guard. We'll see if he plays tackle. But he's one of those offensive linemen that's just a perfect scheme fit. You get him in the building, you figure out what he's supposed to do later. Devin Neal, a great zone runner, the runner from Kansas State corner. Jacob Parrish, Jack Nelson, the left tackle from Wisconsin. Luke Lachey, the tight end from Iowa. Taj Brooks, the power running back from Texas Tech, and Teddy Buchanan, the linebacker from California. And they gave me an A. Look at that.
That's surprising with all those low grades there.
Yeah. They get like a D and a C. I was getting either A's. I was getting either A's or D's. Like A, D, C, A, B, C.
You were graded on a curve.
Yeah, it had to be graded on a curve. But you know what? I'll take it because normally they just like to poop on me. Sam, before we get out of here, anything else you want to talk about?
Hopefully we'll get some quarterback news before our next appearance. Is that it's the big news, or big topic, lack of news, and if they don't get one of these the two veterans that they're targeting, I don't know what they're going to do. So that would make things even more interesting, and I am all for the chaos at this point.
Yeah, nothing they've really done. Jeffrey, I will watch some Will Shepherd tape. I will definitely do that as you brought it up. I've seen a little bit because I've watched Shadur, but I haven't been focused on him totally. Yeah. That's why I said, like, in my draft articles this week, like, I haven't seen anything that they've done that excuse me, that changes their draft plan. Nothing that I would like to see something happen that makes us go, okay, well, I'm going to reevaluate this and lay this out, and that way we give you guys some different looks and stuff. Ryan Roberts from A to Z Sports will be with us. That's where he's at now.
He's always everywhere. He's just in the ethereal plane, just involved with everything draft.
Yeah, he's with A to Z Sports, but always out there. NFL draft, college football analyst. Does a lot
I think he's actually one of the founding members of the NFL draft. So
he probably is.
I think he came up with the idea.
He's like, now listen here. But he will join us next week for a unique show. We're going to do just one collective mock, but give Ryan an opportunity to kind of talk about an outsider perspective on some of these prospects that me and Sam have heavily invested on in these pods. So thank you guys so very much for being with us this week. Make sure you subscribe, give us a thumbs up. We'll see you guys again next week. As always, go Browns.